So imagine this. You get naked in front of a doctor, and that doctor looks at you up and down, makes you turn around, makes you bend down to see if there's anything stuck up your ass. And then the doctor's like, okay, put your clothes back on, come with me. So you come with the doctor, and you end up in this room where a bunch of students are sitting in a little circle, and there's a little spot open for you and the doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, take a seat. And they start asking you the most intimate questions that I genuinely didn't know you could ask a minor. This is a story from my second stay in a mental hospital, and I call it the interview, or at least the situation the interview. It's because when I was in my second stay, I was interviewed by a bunch of medical school students, and they asked me some strange, intimate questions. It's almost as if I wasn't physically getting naked, but I was mentally getting naked, if that makes any sense. I was experiencing psychosis, and that's why I was in the mental hospital. This takes place in a mental hospital. I was going through psychosis, which is a break from reality. Or one experiences things that are not real, or one believes things that are not real, or one experiences those two psychotic symptoms along with anxiety and depression and stuff like that. I personally was debating what I have, but the doctors weren't. They were like, okay, you have OCD, you have GAD, and you have schizophrenia. And because I had such a good input on my life and my symptoms and my illness, they chose me to be interviewed by these medical school students. And the questions that they asked ranged all the way from, oh, are you sexually active? Or do you have a girlfriend? And stuff like that. And that ranged all the way over to, are you seeing anything right now? Which is something that I've learned to not answer, because the automatic thing people do is turn towards that thing and they're like, oh, where? What are you looking at? And it's like, they're not going to see it. And Cecilia McGow, I think that's how you pronounce her name, she's a leader with students with psychosis, an organization that I'm a part of. And she often said this in her interviews. She's like, if people ask me if I'm seeing anything or hearing anything, I'm not going to tell them, because there's no way they would know, and it's kind of very personal. Although I can't hold it against these medical school students. They're students, they're learning. They're not that much older than me. And when it comes down to it, they need to learn what it's like to be in other people's shoes so that they can better assess when they're doctors, when they're in the medical field. And even if they're going to be doing things that aren't necessarily prescribing medicine, maybe they're doing a annual checkup, they'll still need to be able to know these kinds of things. And the main reason I had to get naked beforehand was because I needed to be checked for self-harm. Because if I had self-harmed, then I would be deemed unfit to be interviewed, and I probably would have extended my stay in the hospital. But that's something that always gets on my mind when it comes to these kinds of things. It's like, if I had cut my wrist sooner, then I wouldn't have even gone. If I had not been this way, I wouldn't be in this situation, and I wouldn't be able to advocate for people like me. So yeah, the interview was a funny one. It was really, really funny. I laughed. But it's kind of morbid. I laughed in a morbid way. When I talked about my symptoms, I was telling them, okay, so imagine this. You're in a pool, but instead of water, it's tar, and you're drowning in it. Or like this, you're on quicksand, and you're falling through. And the more you struggle, the more you get dragged in. And the more you struggle, the more you get dragged in. So you just need to stop, slow down, and assess what you need to do to get out of that situation. And I explained it like that to those medical school students, and they were like, writing down notes and stuff like that. And then the big question, are you sexually active? And I was like, why is that important? No, I'm not. Fucking hell, I'm not. If you must know. But yeah, it was also some other questions. I'm actually kind of surprised that the doctors and the nurses would have even had the idea to check if I had any contraband stuck up my ass, but I guess I'm not as trustworthy as I thought I was. So yeah, I kind of rambled on for like 4 minutes about this video, but if you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe, and catch you in the next one. Mahui ho, malama pono.